Welcome to the Facebook Ad Friday Show, where we'll be covering sending traffic to Facebook using and gaining Amazon ranking and sales. External traffic is very important when it comes to staying ahead of your competition within Amazon. And using that, you can really stay ahead by getting that external traffic. And a great way to send that to Amazon is through messenger funnels. And a great way tool to integrate that messenger funnel is seller tools. And I just happen to have the founder of Seller Tools on the call today, where he'll be going through the overview of what it is and why Manychat is important and why Amazon sellers need to be using some type of external traffic method in order to really get the benefit of external traffic. So, Troy, you want to take it off?
Yeah, thanks, Victor. Really appreciate you having me on, and yeah, I would echo your sentiment. It's really important to think about as an Amazon seller leveraging just a select few tools, but those that are really the most effective. And if you've heard me speak, or if you've spent some time in the Amazon space, ranking review, like that really should be the only things going on in your head as you're selling on Amazon. So that's really what we try to do at Seller Tools when we tie in our tools alongside these major high leverage platforms, notably Facebook and Amazon. And then we mix, our recipe includes a little bit of mini chat in there too, to make sure some of our features and functions really shine. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
that's
we
great.
focus on.
Do you want to go through kind of like your slides or some overviews of how ManyChat may work or anything else that could be beneficial?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me give if I can give a quick primer on Seller Tools,
Yeah,
because we actually offer quite a few features,
yeah,
more than a dozen, that covers a wide range. So I can highlight what the whole suite looks like, but undoubtedly where most of our attention, a lot of our biggest sellers and brands that work with us utilize our API alongside ManyChat. So make sure to touch on that as well. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. So we can hop over here and we can first take a look at the Seller Tools platform. So when you get access, first log in. This is really going to be the first thing that you see once you do an initial sync and MWS sync with your Seller Central account. So that way, Seller Tools, Seller Central can communicate effectively, see what products you're selling, what ASINs, what products we have to be able to manage. And in this view, this is really a hub for that type of information. So this is where we can see where our products are, their relative sales rank, both current and change. Same with keywords. So that way you can keep tabs on the number of keywords you're managing in Seller Tools and their relative change. This is a great at a glimpse any potential for flags here, right? Where if all of a sudden you're seeing a dramatic drop in keyword performance, that's when you and your team need to act quite quickly, potentially change your mini chat flows, change your Facebook ad strategy. This is where some of that's informed based on performance and data. Then your product's price, number of reviews, reviewable. This is a really great feature where you can see if an ASIN has a review block. Very insightful if you're spending a lot of money and time to capture reviews without knowing that an ASIN has a review block on it. That's really wasted effort. So knowing that at a glance is really important too. We also have a good set of features that help you with keyword research, just kind of a high level view of what that looks like. Features like Last Search, which is our keyword discovery tool. It's like auto suggest on steroids. You give it a main keyword, garlic press, it's going to look for garlic press stainless steel as well as stainless steel garlic press. It's going to look at a keyword both ways. That's really the auto suggest on steroids, giving you a number of keyword ideas. R2A is probably our most popular keyword research tool. The acronym stands for Real Reverse ASIN. It is our bold way of approaching reverse ASIN, addressing a lot of the pain points that we really saw with keyword research and reverse ASIN approaches that we were seeing out in the space. And it's a really seamless workflow. This is really meant to be keyword research in 5 minutes, where you can come in here, add in your main or master keyword. So let's say I'm selling hyaluronic acid serum. If I was selling garlic press, I would add that keyword there. It's my main or master keyword. Run a search, let it then find top competitors for that keyword. to capture, from which then we run a reverse ASIN. So again, it's doing the work for me based on that main keyword, finding top competitors. So I'm going to say those that are ranked in the top 4 positions for my keyword, hyaluronic acid serum. I'm going to take those because again, if they're ranking highly, they probably have some really great revenue generating keywords. I can confirm that selection to run a reverse ASIN against those 4 ASINs. Run a search. It's going to do that heavy lifting for me. And then the 2 things that I would mention where this is really addresses that, again, the pain points that we saw is keyword research is great, but it's often done in a vacuum. You don't know how those keywords are performing relative to your product. So it's almost like you're finally looking at the other side of the coin, like how are these new keywords? Am I already ranking for them? Am I tracking? Are they relevant to my product? So we can easily, once we add those target ASINs, those 4 ASINs we searched, add in our ASIN. It'll take it from our product manager, the first view that we took a look at when we access seller tools, add in our ASIN, and then it will start breaking down some of this information for us. And then we also have brand analytics data right here natively in seller tools. You don't have to be brand registered. You don't have to do inefficient keyword research. Let's say you do, keyword research that you've seen other methodologies, and then they're used to going back into brand analytics and corroborating that data and creating some kind of massive Google sheet. You avoid all of that, so that way this is far more efficient, far more effective. So I would encourage you to check that out. It really is a 5-minute process of we've added in our main keyword, we've got top competitors, we've added in our ASIN. Now we can have some fun with the data. We can see, okay, based on those results, what keywords are showing up in brand analytics. Massively powerful because that's true Amazon data. I can look at rank density of those competitors, how many of them are all ranking for a keyword. That again gives me a great assumption of relevance. So you can really dive into some of the data from there. But would encourage folks to check that out. That is again R2A. Keyword Insights, more powerful keyword research. We actually have a bit of a teaser here. Review request is a feature that's yet to be released, but this is going to tie into Manychat flows. So by the time you take a look at this, this may be fully live. Another one I would encourage you to check alongside R2A. Last launch is going to be our launch platform. It is where in about 5 minutes you can give our tool, the app, exactly what you need to run either a discounted launch or a rebate launch. We will literally walk you through step by step what information we need to help you run a successful launch, where we find you that audience, we facilitate those offers based on what you set up. So you just give us the product, the keyword, the number of units you want to give away, and we can facilitate all of that right in last launch. Now, API, this is where we start getting into some of the Manychat functions. This is where things like Facebook, more advanced strategies that we tend to see bigger sellers fall in love with, and maybe new coming sellers, we have to really make sure it's very simple, because the complexity leads to a lot of potential, but a little bit of wariness, I think, for new sellers to really dive into that. So I'll make sure we touch on it. But these 3 points are things like your API keys. This effectively unlocks your data in the same way that we completed an MWS sync to get your seller tools to communicate with Seller Central. These API keys will allow you to communicate with other tools, Manychat, Zapier, ActiveCampaign, any other integration that you see where an API can fold in. This is where your keys are truly that means of unlocking some of your data. Then we have the wallet. So in the wallet, this is where you can set up and utilize Manychat flows, rebate offers to give out and share funds in a number of different fashions. So we can touch on that too, Victor, as well. This is another one that I would encourage folks to take a look at because it's both simple and very powerful, where you can come in here, add funds to your wallet, manually send those funds. So as an example, if I wanted to add funds through any one of these 3 payment methods via credit card, ACH, PayPal, can add those to my wallet, then come in here and then send those funds through a number of different options, whether it's an Amazon gift card, Visa gift card, PayPal, Venmo. We can touch on how this ties into our strategies as well. But the wallet helps to facilitate that either manually, we can do it right here, or we can do it through our Manychat flows. Blacklist essentially is a means in which we can limit the number of customers and the type of customers that come into our flows. And then we have Manychat right here as well. So if I'm going to just collapse some of these in the navigation. If we look at Manychat and the free flows that we offer to our users, this is really where we try to bridge that gap. The ability to develop, stress test, refine, fold in a bunch of best practices into Manychat flows is a big pain point for Amazon sellers. So we wanted to address that by offering free flows that are strategy specific. Undoubtedly, our most popular strategy that we help to facilitate is rebate automation. And what that really entails is a Manychat flow where a customer, eligible customer, can take advantage of purchasing a product and being rebated in full for their purchase. And we have very powerful pieces that are added into that, like automated review requests. We keep bad actors out through our blacklist. We have a counter. So let's say we wanted to only give away 5 units a day. Seller tools can help you do that. And these flows are built and set up in such a way where you can do that automatically. So really effective. We do over $1 million a month in rebates. So we processed a pretty high volume, and that number continues to grow. And really, as you'll see with these top 3 flow options, we start to then focus on how we rebate the customer. And this is really, I think, going to get at the crux of some of our important points for today. Is the way in which we rebate a customer is also, we keep in mind the way we want to continue to engage with them. So as an example, this Venmo rebate automation flow, if we click on it, all we need to do is click download now. It's going to bring us over to Manychat to import the flow. But what's important is the customer receiving a rebate via Venmo. What that implies is that we're getting that customer's phone number. That's the only way we can Venmo that customer. But that is a really great and effective way to continue to engage and support that customer, whether it's future offers, whether that's review requests, whether that's providing them more value and building up more loyalty. What we're doing is we're using a strategy like rebates. It's kind of the way in. It's a Trojan horse is probably too crude of a word or phrase to use for this, but it really is a way of leading with a no-brainer offer for our customers, from which we can get additional ways to engage and support them. Venmo again unlocks a phone number, and as we'll see, and I'll touch on this real quick because I have this ready in our presentation. Manychat just recently put out a article, I believe it was yesterday, which was really helpful. As I was digging into some of the data, this was very illuminating because it gets far less anecdotal and far more aggregate here. Is that Manychat has shared with the community really a validation of a pretty strong assumption here that SMS advertising and contacting customers via SMS has a 90% open rate within 3 minutes of receipt. Ooh, wow. I mean, as a marketer, a seller, a brand, the idea of achieving that via email, achieving that really, I mean, throw any other channel out there. Those numbers are immensely impressive. And so the excess, the 209% higher response rate relative to even Messenger, which Messenger has been such a godsend for so many. And then 10 times more follow through on coupon code redemption as well. So you can start to see, this has been intentional for us, where the changes that we see in the landscape, changes we see on the Facebook advertising side, the Messenger side of things, the EU implications, there's a lot of shifting tides, but there are some kind of steady mechanisms, steady ways in which we can communicate with our customers if we can deliver value first. What's the way of unlocking that trust and ability to where we can realize 90% open rates within 3 minutes? I love seeing that aspect too, because the 90% open rate kind of on its own is immensely impressive. But then you tighten it up to, like, instead of waiting a day, 3 days, it's like, oh yeah, within 5 minutes, somebody's viewing your message, right? What a time to market to customers, right? And again, this is I always say this anytime I mention it: with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Hmm.
When you have somebody's phone number rarely changes. It's a very unique, high confidence. You have a high level of confidence that um, in that piece of information, and so it's something you want to just handle with a lot of care.
Yep.
Once that becomes something that's available to you. So we keep that in mind as we build out some of our some of our features and solutions. Both two pieces here when we provide our Manychat flows again here under Manychat and flows is we know flow building and developing is very time and cost intensive. So when we pull that out and we give you a free resource, and then we plug in how we can mitigate all of the shifting tides, it's kind of a intentionally two birds with one stone to where you're really off to the races, utilizing some of these features. So um, really powerful, really effective.
Yeah, that's
And then just
great.
the last few others that I'll touch on, we have alerts that you can set up. This is a great way again of getting out of constantly checking Seller Central, even going to Amazon at all. When you can quickly set up a product alert and be informed. Let's say we'll take our hyaluronic acid serum example again that we have in our account. We can set up an alert. We can take a look at some of our existing alerts, but if we want to set up any new alert here, it's just a matter of what we want to keep tabs on. If our BSR, let's say, drops out of favor, do we want to be made aware of that? Do we see a hijacker on our listing? If we don't have any of those protections in place, we want to be made aware. If we have an adult tag, this was immensely popular when there was a flurry of malicious activity, sellers seeing competitors adding adult tags, and it's very hard to find. This isn't one of those things you can just go to your listing and then instantly see it. You really needed to depend on something like having an alert configured. Weight, dimensions changed. We know even slight alterations here can impact your fees. That can translate to hundreds, thousands of dollars. Knowing it in real time is really powerful. Category changes. This again could be Amazon miscategorizing you. It could be a competitor miscategorizing you. Very important to know that again in real time. ASIN not found. This is probably really the most crucial when you see dogs for your listing and not
Yeah.
your product that should be generating revenue, right? So picking that, then having it set up to where if your ASIN is not found, set that to true. What's really cool, and the last thing I'll touch on it for the alerts, is that we can also have these sent in a few different places. We can be notified here in the Solo Tools app. We can have an email, but we know our email inbox gets flooded. You may be batching your email activity. Facebook Messenger, this is my favorite. This is where we're all on Facebook. We're all on Facebook too much. Your team is probably on Facebook. So when time is of the essence, if you've got a product generating, 20, 30 grand in revenue a month, and, seconds matter, minutes matter, having that speed of notification via Messenger is really, really powerful. And then API, this is where a lot of our bigger sellers, more technical sellers will start using things like tying that into Zapier, incorporating that into Slack for that same reason. Our team is, in these communication channels. What's the quickest way to get the right person notified if this alert is triggered? So pretty cool, pretty powerful to be able
Yeah.
to configure those. Then we've got Prism, product research, inventory lock, where we can set up locks on inventory, so a number of units that are moving. PPCS, this is our PPC automation tool. Just a quick primer on that. Really is a simple way of approaching PPC where you're optimizing bids, negative matching underperformance, extracting keywords, editing keywords at a higher level. We have day parting, we've got ad boosting strategies. So this is really something to really spend a little bit more time. But what's really great about it is it's set up in a very sequential way. As you'll see clicking through, our workflow is really, the workflow is there, and then the tools layer over the top of it. So you're losing, you're getting rid of the losers, you're extracting the winners, and then you're optimizing on an ongoing basis. It's so intuitive, and I love it. As somebody who doesn't like to spend a lot of time on PPC, it's like, give me what matters and let's forget the rest. It's a really great way of approaching PPC. So that's kind of a quick primer across a wide array of tools and solutions that we have. But yeah, we're encouraged folks to check that out in addition to, like I said, some of the things that we'll touch on today as we get into a little bit more Facebook Messenger um, side of things.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
great.
Awesome. 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 Yeah, it's been a great platform. It's again just another kind of mention on Seller Tool side. It's really was developed by sellers ourselves. Our leadership team, our team, we're still actively selling, so we really try to tap into our vision is carrying that through. It was initially born out of, okay, let's solve the problems that we have, the challenges we see, the tools that we want, and then carrying that through into the business. And I see that being really the case too with some of the things that we'll look at. And as we double down on a lot of these areas, when it comes to the quality of customer, the focus on ranking, the ease with which we capture reviews, those most important pieces.
Yeah, yeah, especially selling on Amazon. We all know the headaches about selling on Amazon, and like we all Amazon sellers, we all have our tools to do things, and it really helps to have tools like these to really consolidate the rebate process, so that way it just makes our lives a lot easier. Because like 2 years ago when messenger marketing just started, there was nothing like this, and it was all manual, 100% manual. It
Yeah.
was not easy. So tools like these really, really made it, really saved a lot of people a lot of time. Let's just say that, especially me myself. So it was really great when tools like these come up, and yeah, like the Manychat stats you have up right now, it's really great. The open rates and things like that, and it's it's definitely worth doing and pursuing, because messenger marketing just is really like has those great open rates, and a lot of people will be seeing what you post there. So it's
Yeah.
really a lot of opportunity there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm one of the ways that we see it, the word that I often use with something like mini chat is so. And I'm sure it's not only us. I'm sure this is a shared sentiment. Is you see Facebook changes, you see Messenger changes, you see Amazon changes, and then you're like, okay, wait, what do I do? How do I still take full advantage of a lot of these features and tools? And what we're seeing more on the Facebook side is they're responding. The Apple iOS 14 update, we're seeing how personal information privacy concerns, how that's being addressed, and how apple's implementing that confirmation from the user of sharing some of that data. And so and the same goes with EU compliance. Really, the spirit of it is they want to make sure that the buyer, prospective buyer, has the buy-in before they move forward and proceed with communicating with the brand or having that brand have visibility into really any more information about them, right? Um, and that's a big reason why we tie in Messenger to make sure that we're not just purely doing direct response, right? Where we're just sending from Facebook right to Amazon, because there's a really big missed opportunity there to engage that customer, to know who that customer is, to really own that journey to where we can fill in a lot of those gaps. We can have them confirm, yes, you are clicking the get started message in Messenger, so we know you've confirmed interacting with us. Now we've illuminated your name, your face. We have your Facebook information there to click. When you complete a rebate offer, we then know additional details about you. We know additional details about your order, and we start to be able to paint a picture with a customer that we've just given great value to. They're interested in our product, interested in our offer, and that mini chat piece is really I just always call it the gateway. It's really the way in which we can own the journey, because even more complex than that is, instead of it just fitting in the middle, you could use a Facebook ad, or you could use a ref URL to email. Obviously Facebook isn't a requirement, it's a tool, but you could use a Facebook ad through ManyChat and then direct that customer maybe to a YouTube video that is warming them up. That type of funnel build out is, I think, something that we see sellers maybe struggling with a little bit more, of thinking purely direct response. If they're interested, they're going to click through. They're going to click through and buy. It's just add to offer, like add to Amazon, add to Amazon. And ManyChat, like I said, it addresses some of the things that we see. I mean, that us touching on the SMS open rates, we were a bit surprised when we really doubled down on the idea of creating many chat flows that are just SMS. You can do that. It doesn't need to be
Mhm.
messenger dependent. So the idea of Manychat just messenger is really broadening the scope of that, and that's where with what they've done, Manychat was really the canary in the coal mine, where they saw, okay, there's going to be a lot of these compliance steps. There's going to be a lot more restrictions. We're going to roll out email. We're going to roll out SMS. We're going to build out more, more customizations on each of those options. Make it very cost effective, and they sort of laid the groundwork to where there's a safe and reliable way to still utilize a lot of these same strategies. So
Yeah.
it's really really effective.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more on that.
Yeah, cool. One thing, Victor, we touched on, and I wanted to make sure we covered as we talked about external traffic and how powerful and effective it is that there is a bit of a dark area when it comes to botted, or what Amazon can often call, and this is Google will call it the same, of more invalid traffic, whether it's PPC abuse or botted traffic, where they're usually different IPs using bots to artificially create traffic. And so what I have pulled up here is an example where we've run a last search in Cello Tools, and I stumbled upon this where Dead Sea Mud Mask was the input. That was the keyword that I searched. But I noticed the top result was Dead Sea Mud Mask, and I've blacked out the brand, Dead Sea Mud Mask, with only 5 competitors that are ranking for this keyword, with 57,000 impressions, and that's essentially the search volume. So this branded term had even more searches than the on the nose main keyword, the Dead Sea Mud Mask. It is a prime example of the use of botted traffic and its implications when it comes to ranking. We use Manychat, we use external traffic, but this is kind of what touches on two key points in that conversation of ranking. Is that these strategies are out there, that they're being utilized for the explicit purpose of realizing more page interactions. This botted traffic will go into a detail page and it will scroll down to the bottom of the page. It will sometimes complete, if there's any manual elements, there may be bots that go in and click a product on, add it to their wish list. And this is the reality that page interactions positively impact the popularity score, as it was once called. It's kind of now, it's kind of a fading shadow. It's going away because Amazon's not making it visible. It's not as easy to track down. But there's a lesson here in terms of how this ties into Manychat. One other point I'll point out here too, Victor, is that
Mm-hmm.
it really stresses the idea of conversion rates as a substantial ranking factor.
Yeah.
As you can guess, if you all of a sudden are pushing 57,000 unique exact impressions, that amount of search volume, which is almost completely inorganic and invalid traffic, they're not converting on all that traffic, right?
Yeah.
They would, I'm sure, love to. Not the case, though, right? Not the case. So
Yeah.
you have a ton of traffic with a healthy amount of page interactions, and you have almost an abysmal conversion rate. And I think that goes to show that conversion rate can be a little bit overinflated as a ranking factor. Not to say it's not in the mix,
Yeah.
but it's intuitive to a fault, where we think, of course, Amazon sees greater conversions. That's revenue generation. But page interactions also speak to the potential for revenue generation. When somebody adds a product to wish list, they're spending time evaluating reviews. That might not be today's purchase, but that could be next week's purchase. That could be next month's purchase. And that could be a higher quality customer to Amazon at the same time. So there's a lot of nuggets here that come out of seeing these, let's say, extreme examples where
Yeah.
somebody's not being so subtle of
Yeah.
coming on Amazon and
Mm-hmm.
throwing this traffic. But there's the lessons for us, like I said, of how we can take this into account when it comes into ranking factors. And so what that brings to mind for me is one of my favorite strategies in Manychat that you can utilize that is a far more elegant way of utilizing page interactions. And a point of clarification there, because I always fall to that shorthand, and that's kind of what I call it. Page interactions are product detail page interactions. So that is a customer or botted traffic, a entity of some
Mm-hmm.
sort ending up on your product detail page, reviewing the media. So taking a look at all the images, watching the videos, scrolling down the page, looking at the Q&A, taking a look at reviews. All of those different activities can positively impact your rank. And how
And they
we
could
take
also be doing helpful votes too for
Mhm.
reviews. Like they could be pressing the helpful vote for 5-star reviews, so the 5-star reviews are always at the top. That could be a potential interaction that they're doing, is doing the helpful views, so that way they can always have 5-star reviews at the top of all their products.
right.
It's a
Yep.
possibility.
Yep.
So
And so,
crazy.
some of the ways you could think about doing sort of taking that reality and thinking about using something like ManyChat is completing it. I've kind of termed this pre-purchase prompts. So when let's say you deliver a Facebook ad, you've got user-generated content, or maybe you're showing your main image of your product for a rebate offer. You've got the Amazon logo there for trust and authority, and then you're taking a customer through your ManyChat flow. A pre-purchase prompt is a really great way of, instead of a customer just clicking that ad, clicking a link to go buy your product, it's having them complete a little bit more of an investment, realizing a little bit of that page interaction boost by completing a pre-purchase prompt. Something as simple as this example of having a customer share their favorite review, where again, that assumes they're going to scroll through the page, whether they click on the button to link them to reviews or scroll down to the bottom of the page. They're analyzing reviews, they're copying and pasting on the page. I mean, Victor, even something like printing a product detail page, right clicking and printing, that is a page interaction. It's
Wow.
pretty wild, all these things that are ranking factors. And this is where something so simple, and it can be a little bit fun too. You can kind of gamify this process, but we take the reality of page interactions, we tie it into owning the customer journey through ManyChat, and then we have something as simple as this: of, hey, share your favorite review with us, drop it here in ManyChat, and then we take them right through to the next steps.
And another way, a great way to think about it is like think about it like a website. Like when Google Analytics, you see the bounce rate, you see interactions, you see page time, and all these other factors that play a significant role in your quality score on Google. It's almost similar to Amazon. Like they're checking your bounce rate, they're checking your page time, they're checking your interactions on the page, and they're giving you a better quality score than if you didn't have that type of interaction. So that makes 100% sense when it comes to like Google standards, because they do the exact same thing for their SEO purposes, and it's almost similar to what they're doing on Amazon. So that makes perfect sense.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, that's painting the most complete picture of this too, is the idea of not just taking that direct response example, add to offer to purchase. Amazon doesn't like that at scale either. So they're evaluating the quality of the customer, but the conversion that's realized where it's really tight, there's only just click and a purchase, that isn't as compelling to Amazon either, right? So we're doing both things. We're sort of mitigating how that's not as powerful, and then we're trying to build upon, hey, we know that this is a major ranking factor. How can we gamify it? This is still a customer journey. So how can we make the most of that customer's time, but sort of gamify this a little bit, where we still can realize that benefit without taking them through 4 or 5 different steps to take advantage of our offer.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
so pre-purchase pumps are a really great way of doing that. So sharing reviews, you can do little little mentions in one of the other ones I really like is if you do videos, if you have videos on your listing, having a mention, or having them find, okay, at what point in the video do you notice this logo or this icon? Having little Easter eggs in content, great way of having them have a little bit of fun, engage with that media, and then bring that back into ManyChat. Same goes again with Q&A, other elements of your listing as well. So can be really cool. A plus content. If you have a mention there, hey, what do we refer to as our top and favorite ingredient in this product? Really cool ways of just making it a little bit fun while realizing that ranking benefit. So I just again
Mhm.
touched on a few here of viewing images. So viewing media is a great way. Scrolling through product reviews is a really, with reviews being such a focus, and if we potentially ask for reviews, it kind of warms them up to what they're seeing others are saying about your product, and then adding to wish list. Now, some of these, it is admittedly a little bit trickier to measure their relative impact over time, because we have seen things like wish list where it was immensely effective. We saw a lot of sellers doing it at scale, and then we saw it kind of taper off. So I think it would be a bit naive to say that Amazon doesn't have some sliding scales here in terms of some of these factors, but
Mhm.
the overarching organic, more organic, let's say, experience is ultimately what they are rewarding. They want the diversity of signals. So this is where, when we're talking about external traffic and we can own the journey through Manychat, for driving to a YouTube video that maybe has a link to our product in the description, great. That's a Google property where customers coming through, great. Then we have a Facebook ad where we're driving them through directly to Amazon. That's a different signal. So that diversity of signal and the um, different external traffic sources is really, really powerful.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
great.
Yep. And I touch on that again here of just where you can find a lot of these different and free flows. And what's beautiful about how quickly these are to set up. We were fortunate enough to be working alongside Manychat as their top developer, and really had a really strong voice in how easy the template installation process is. And so now when you import any of these flows and it brings you over into Manychat, it is a super seamless process. It's literally 3 steps of reviewing what you're importing. So the flow that we've already clicked on, you can take a look at it here. US rebate automation Venmo. We can install it. Now I would need to sign in with Facebook. Essentially, just signs into your Facebook account. Of course, if you are using Manychat, you need to have it set up or linked to a Facebook page, and then finally just finalizing it. But it's really just 3 steps to be able to getting these added and up and running in your account. So simple, and as easy as that. Cool.
Super easy.
Yeah. But those are some key points. Again, some of the really impressive metrics. I think you'd just be hard pressed. I could be proven wrong.
Mhm.
And a lot of these that we're running, and we actually pulled this data from a client who is a very large seller in the pet category, has a list of about 200, and I'll say 200,000. I think it's closer to 250,000 on their Manychat list. But they're still realizing these absolutely exceptional metrics. And I think it's a really great point that they're rightfully spending a lot of their time here, leveraging Messenger, looking to SMS. I think in terms of where sellers should be thinking about really growing their skill set, utilizing additional tools, whether it's natively in Manychat, whether it's through a resource like Twilio. That's also, like I said, where we're starting to build more features around that as well. How can we support it, build more reliability, inform that quality of customer metric? Because that can also be a bit of a moving target alongside page interactions. That quality of customer is something where we don't have as much visibility. It's not popularity score where, at one point in time, there was Amazon documentation, there was like pieces of information, and we kind of knew there was an approximate amount of variables. The quality of customer is a bit trickier, where we try to crowdsource these anecdotal insights of, how old their buyer account is. Is there certain regions that get greater preference, um, and taking what information we get through Manychat, through some of that data, to really inform who that customer is.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And when it comes to seller tools, the biggest thing for me when it comes to like the mini chat creator, like to that guide sales, the difference between having seller tools on a mini chat flow and not having seller tools is you get a lot of automation in there. So it the whole purpose of where things go is it's how do I say this? Like it's where like if you have a normal flow within Manychat and you have a normal ranking campaign, like you won't have that automation. Everything becomes manual. You have to manually give out your gift cards, manually give out your rebates and things like that. And it makes it where it's a very manual process throughout everything and you have to check and doing all these things, but with seller tools it's all automated,
Right.
and it makes it where it'll automatically give out your gift cards, automatically do the order verification, which before seller tools we had to do either manually or through Zapier, which was fairly expensive if you were a big seller using Zapier, getting all those order IDs. But it was a very hectic process, and they really consolidate a lot of and make it really where it's a lot easier. So when if you are using Manychat and you are using ranking campaigns, like really consider like how much time you are spending on your Manychat campaigns, and see will using seller tools be beneficial to save you that amount of time. And and it does a lot of other things outside of that. It does the keyword tracking and everything else like that. But just to keep in mind when it comes to just the ManyChat part, there's a lot of capabilities that it provides you, and that you're able to really take off with it. So it just makes it where it's a very, very seamless experience when it comes to using ManyChat and really being the connector between Amazon and Facebook Messenger, which is not easy to do, but they really work as the middleman when it comes to that. So it makes life a lot easier, for sure.
Yeah. No, it's really great points, and I would encourage the same. Yeah, evaluate kind of if you're using VAs to manually verify orders, if you're having VAs run PayPal, that's something where we rolled out PayPal as a rebate option, a way of funding for customers, and I sort of I had mixed feelings about it. I know it's popular, it's easy to use, but for that same point, that idea of how can we how can we deliver value to a customer to open up a communication channel? This is where things like Venmo were just like they were like a slap in the face, where it's like, oh, duh. Like if we can deliver a rebate, if I'm going to give you $20, Victor, you're going to be willing to give me your phone number because I'm leading with value. Now I could send you uh, a PDF, ebook, some way that informs and enlightens how best to use our product, or
Mm-hmm.
something that you may be interested in. But that rebate, that explicit value, is a really great way of opening up that communication channel. Same goes for email as well. That's still completely viable. But leading with that, leveraging Venmo to then deliver that rebate, um, and then you unlock 90%. You open up a lot of the metrics that we touched on. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's immensely effective.
And you don't have to worry about the Facebook Messenger 24-hour rule, because they've been enforcing that a lot recently. With a lot with most, and they basically make after 24 hours, Facebook wants you to pay to send out messages, and which is tough to ask for reviews now because we wait 14 days to ask for like to do that, and after we give the rebate. But lately it's been very difficult because Facebook's been we basically have to pay for it now, instead of doing it for free, because Facebook has been enforcing that 24-hour rule a lot more lately, and it's definitely been difficult to work around. So using SMS, you have that workaround of always being able to send messages basically whenever you want, and just basically at the customer's descent, essentially, like make sure you're not oversending messages, make sure you're not doing anything else like that that would annoy the customer. But besides that, there really are no other there are not as many rules as Facebook would have when it comes to that. So it makes
Right.
it's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is where, another strategy that comes to mind that's really effective is thinking about that in terms of some of the Facebook changes we're seeing, but what Facebook still rewards and really likes. They want you to spend money on ads. They love ad revenue. They are cultivating and still really stressing the benefits of Facebook groups. And this is where you can create whether it's a niche group, whether it's a mystery shopper group, obviously category and product specific considerations there. but leading them down that path and having them building a true community is a way in which you can get product feedback, you can conduct product launches. But as your mind already may go, that's a really great place to drop a ref URL for a Manychat flow, where you then can take those that community, that Facebook group, into an SMS flow. So then you have them all in one place in a Facebook group that you can engage and support. Then you have SMS where you're unlocking, you don't need one-time notifications. You don't have a 24-hour rule. You don't have Facebook ad fault. Like, you don't have any of those things. And then you've got both at your disposal. So you've just got a sitting, waiting community. Then you have insane open rates through SMS. And that's a really great way to go. I mean, it's very much, it's a pretty rare case for that investment. Because I think there's a little bit of intimidation when you create a group, because then you have customers always in one place, and maybe asking questions, you have to support them. But the investment to take full advantage of getting your customers or potential customers in one place is very fruitful, and it's giving kind of Facebook what it wants. You can drive ads. This is where with mystery shoppers, where if you provide to your audience or to the segment or insights that you have a relevant ad, it's a free offer. Essentially, there's little to no friction in driving them to a group. And like I said, with Facebook really cultivating both of those, it's a great way to get away from direct response, kind of change it up if you're running messenger flows as well. But then you have both at your disposal, right? That's where it gets really, really powerful.
Yeah, there's so many ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many ways to really guide the customer and provide a lot of value. It just comes down to starting. Like, you don't necessarily have to do rebates or anything else like that. You can use promotional codes. You can use it to you can use just Messenger just to guide normal sales just in general. Like, you don't need this specific way to do it. Like, you can do it just through normal sales, normal everything, and have seller tools be the order verification, be whatever you want it to be. And there's a lot of ways to go around it, and it doesn't have to be with rebates. It could be with a lot of things. So you're not tied to just the rebate area, but a lot of people do, because it's the fastest way to get results. But if you want to really gain sales out of it for profit, then you can use Messenger just to guide the customer throughout that journey through a Messenger funnel, just in general. So there's a lot of ways, and Seller Tools is a very big, robust tool. It can do keyword tracking, can do a lot of things, and there's there's so many uses for it when it comes to that, and it's almost one of the mandatory tools. Like, almost every Amazon seller, like, there's a lot of tools that a lot of sellers like need to have in order to become successful. And when it comes to ranking campaigns, you kind of need seller tools at this point, because unless you just have a huge workforce of like 50 people that are willing to work for free. um, I don't have that. I wish I did, but unless you do, if you don't, you're gonna need seller tools to automate that process, just to make it more efficient in general. So they've really saved a lot of time for me.
Yeah,
Um, are there any
nice.
other what are some Amazon tips that you have for? So you said you do a lot of Amazon selling. You work with a lot of Amazon sellers. What tips would you have for an Amazon seller?
Yeah, to your point, when it comes to rebates, and obviously it is
Hmm.
one of the most popular things that we do, is think about that diversity of offer. Some of the best things that we have seen for brands that we work with is BOGOs. Buy one get ones are a really great, often very cost effective way, driving up that purchase value on Amazon, which is never a bad thing. So that's a really great way to do it. And the way that we do it is we will facilitate an MCF order. So again, you have somebody who's really struggling to get more customer data. Everything you're hearing right now is less customer data. That's like the picture that's being painted. With
Yeah.
a MCF order and a BOGO, we're essentially saying, and through ManyChat, what we're able to do is say, great, you're now eligible for the free product. Just give us your name, give us your address, give us your order information. So we're getting more customer data for a compelling offer that then again allows us to engage and support that customer. and then that informs subsequent audiences. I think that's the other big piece and key takeaway. Whether you use rebates, whether you use BOGOs or discounted or gamified giveaways,
Mm-hmm.
is really thinking about what type of investment that you're making.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to do rebates, let's say on a very limited scale, absolutely nothing wrong with that. But think about the benefit of getting customers that want your product, that are coming in the door, and you're getting more customer data, and how that informs your audience insights. Those are
Yeah.
really effective lookalike audiences that you can build. And the analogy I always give for that is like you're sort of investing in that first part of the snowball, and then it's just growing, 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 and growing from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things where we get folks that never want to run rebates, but then when they realize they get ranking, they get reviews, they get audience building, and then they see people running PPC where it's just ROI, it's just transactional. It's
Mm-hmm.
how much should I get out of this one sale? And they're not thinking about page one visibility or how
Yeah.
they're automating reviews or how, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty stark contrast of what you're able to do. And that's why with even our feature of PPCS, our PPC automation tool, it's like, give me what matters, and then let me get back to ranking reviews and automating all that, right?
Yeah.
So I would sort of champion that idea of, no matter the perception, think of like how you can. It's a sliding scale of that investment, and just know that it's a high yield investment at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day. If you're selling on Amazon, it's ranking reviews. Right? I'm always surprised when I hear somebody say, "I'm not launching right now," or "I'm not running rank." Like, what are you doing on it? Like, what is your day to day? Like, so you're winning all of your keywords, you're crushing all your competitors. It's like, it's almost impossible. I mean, brands at 7, 8, 9, they're not even doing that, and they should be doing
Yeah.
it, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I always get intrigued by that. I'm like, wow, so you're just
Mhm.
crushing Amazon, and you're not doing anything anymore. And I think there's the draw to substantiate your own website and go multi-channel. And
Mhm.
I think there's nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah.
the reason you started on Amazon is the leverage. And it's,
Yeah.
have you taken that to the fullest potential, or are you kind of, your foot's kind of coming off the gas, and you're sort of leaving some amount of success to chance. So
Mhm.
um, so yeah, it's
It,
really thinking about
uh-huh.
what strategies you see, investing more heavily. Be willing to become a subject matter expert. I think we've actually created a Manychat Solar Tools expert group and community for that purpose of kind of getting in touch with sellers, supporting them, an agency network that has kind of been vetted. But I'd love to see sellers more kind of get their hands dirty, because I wonder about that. It's like, what does your day to day look like? So, if you're not focused on ranking and reviews,
Yeah.
what are you putting on that same footing? Like, what is
Mhm.
really there? You have a quality product, your inventory's lined up, like, have your foundation, but then as you're growing your business, where are you really spending your time?
Exactly. And when I hear sellers that don't want to do rebates and don't want to do these ranking campaigns, I basically set up a ranking calculator. Like, this is the amount of money you will make if you do a boost and rank number one for this particular keyword. And if you rank for all three of these keywords, all it takes is $1,000 investment, and you can make 10,000 per month. And every time I do that for them, they go, "Duh, run this for me." And like it's obvious,
Yeah.
like just I don't think they see the ROI in it. But if you make it very clear, like with when I create this ranking calculator, every single seller after that has said, "Okay, this is obvious. Just do this for me," and it's been successful every single time. So like it's obvious that we do it, and like obviously we're in it all the time. We increase seller ranking all the time, increase their sales like crazy. So it's obvious to us. But for other sellers, they don't want to take that small risk, but it's all about increasing that rank, and there's so much growth opportunity in it, and it comes down to it's worth the risk. Like it's worth doing and worth trying to pursue it. At least trying and seeing what may happen, what may go with it. And because there's so much opportunity, because now that 50% of sales or 50% of purchases are going through Amazon now, it comes down to we really need to be ranking high and really be pushing for more keywords and things like that, because a lot of our clients, they don't stop boosts. Like they just literally keep the boost running because they make more money giving away 100 products per day than they make more money by giving those products away for free, hundreds of products a day for free, and they make that money back by keeping that rank, and it's more profitable for them. So it makes it where they always keep that running and where it always makes sense. So there's so much opportunity, and it's so easy to rank, because in the next 2 or 3 years we might not get this type of opportunity to rank number one. You never know what may happen. So it's a really great strategy to rank, and a really good strategy to get number one. It just comes down to seeing what your return on investment is. And I try to make that super simple, and it makes it where a lot of sellers, it's funny when sellers are hesitant about it, but I say, like, believe me, it works, it works, it works. I swear it works.
Right.
So it's great, and it really comes down to just showing that ROI, showing that it's such a great opportunity, and it makes it where a lot of Amazon sellers do end up doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, it is a really unique time because there is a lot of the uncertainty has actually created an opportunity, I think, because a lot of we've seen some sellers get a little bit discouraged by some of the changes and really trying to wrap their heads around it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there are others that are like, okay, wait, so I can just pivot to SMS, or I can update my insert flow, or I can move to BOGO, or like they're
Mm-hmm.
making these relatively subtle tweaks. Again, when we try to offer up free flows, it's kind of like, oh, okay, so this strategy was this free flow, and now this like they're just moving, a little bit and trying out a few different things, and
Yeah.
it opens up a lot of those really the doors that are closing for their competition. Where, like I said, people are trying to get, they're growing accustomed to less customer data, less audience
Mm-hmm.
insights, poorer targeting, poorer
Yeah.
ad performance, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're seeing with the Apple update. Is less data, more approval to come in, which we sort of champion. We only want to talk to customers that really want to talk with us,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't want the tools and the processes to sort of arbitrarily ratchet some of that down,
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said, that gets into wasteful ad spend, and then we've got to test beyond what's reasonable. But that snowball, once you get 10, then you get 50, then you get 100 customers, then you start building that audience, and then you start
Mm-hmm.
focusing purely on that audience. Then it's a lot more curation, and not a lot of time of, oh man, I've always got to run ads because we always have to have people come in the door.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot less like that.
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's honestly what we're doing a lot in our businesses. Is we're looking at our lists, curating,
Mm-hmm.
focusing on SMS, and you know delivering offers when they're ready, and taking, again, good care with that. Those open rates are, those are real people on the other end that are, looking at your messages,
Mm-hmm.
interested in your products, want to take advantage of offers, but we don't want to overdo it either.
Yeah, and it's so surprising when, like, how many Amazon sellers don't focus on building up their customer list. They just focus on getting the sales, and that's it. They're only worried about the short term, like, but they don't see the long-term benefit of growing that customer list. And that's where I see people using landing pages for the rebates rather than, like, they don't realize how easy it is. Like, once someone presses a button into a messenger flow, they're subscribed. Like,
Mm.
and you can message them after that, and you can build up that customer list, build up your that lookalike audience. Like, a lot of people don't even know what lookalike audiences are. When you build up your customer list of purchasers of your customers, then you can create a Facebook lookalike audience that basically finds people just like your customers, and Facebook will go find those people and bring them to your company and bring them to your products if they're just like your Amazon customers or just like your customers in general. So there's a lot capability that Facebook's targeting is amazing, and lookalikes is the meat of Facebook advertising and where you can get a ton of value from. So building up that customer list through messenger funnels is a lot easier, because if you ask for an email, if you ask for a phone number within Messenger, it's one tap. They're not entering anything. They don't have to type in all these random characters to find out their email and everything else like that. It's one tap. And that way it already automatically goes up, and it goes into, you can have it go into a Google sheet wherever you want, but it's that simple for the customer. So if you're using a landing page for your rebates, people have to type out each one, and it makes it where it's a very tedious process. But if it's one tap, it's it where it'll dramatically increase your click-through rate, and getting those emails, getting those phone numbers, and it all starts in messenger funnels. And there's just a lot of opportunity than using a landing page and using all these other alternates. So messenger funnels have been a great way to get that customer information, build up your customer list, and reach out to them. Because remember, email only has a 20% open rate, but Messenger, SMS, all these other guys have almost 80 to 90% open rates. So if you send a message out, people are going to be seeing it. And you can really interact with your customer a lot more than an email would, because email, a lot less people are going to end up seeing that. But within Messenger and SMS, that you know your customers are going to be reading it, you know that they're going to be seeing your content, and that can really give you an edge on all your competitors, and really you can provide a lot of value to your customers. So building that customer list is so important, back to what you were saying, Troy. So
Mhm.
I really encourage all Amazon sellers to be building some customer list of some kind, because Amazon gives you that for free. Like Amazon gives you, you can get all your Amazon customer information and make a customer list out of it, retarget them, or make a lookalike audience. Amazon gives that to you. We have that information. They said they were going to take it away a year ago. They still kept it, and we still have it. So I encourage all Amazon sellers to be taking that information and at least trying to retarget your customers of some kind. So it definitely makes sense
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
sure.
and viewing it as an asset too. I mean, you obviously want to value and glean those insights from your customer. You have feedback potential when you launch a new product. Is there product improvements? Is there things that get in front of negative reviews? That ownership of the customer journey. This gets back to the point of my concern of sellers thinking, oh man, it's intimidating because there's so much potential complexity. But when you view it in the lens of there's potential I can tap into with focusing on an objective, a very clear objective, there is just so much that you can do. The diversity of signals we touched on. You can't do that with a landing page. You can't send somebody to YouTube to watch a video to click through the description. You can't send them
Yeah.
to Instagram, and purchase through via Instagram. You lose that journey control that can check off so many of these objectives. So it doesn't have to just be rebates. It can just be different ways that you use Messenger and a lot of those open rates, but really just dialing in your objectives. And that's the beauty of looking at your business now and saying, hey, well, this is kind of lacking. We're not engaging with our customers at all. We're accustomed to pretty poor, abysmal, whether it's email, whether it's buyer seller messaging. We know many customers are opting out of that in mass, and some of the restrictions there. This is a whole new world, and this is like I said, we try to not to make it intimidating, but how can you get started? What's the low hanging fruit for you? Whether it's free flows, whether it's just what's our quick wins, utilizing some of those things, because once you start seeing, then you start really understand, wow, this is why you may have seen, and again, all of us as sellers of stuff, this is where we're spending a disproportionate amount of time, and it's high yield, it's an asset. So when you go to sell your business, somebody who has a list of 20,000 people versus somebody who has an email list of 200, and they have to look at those metrics and Klaviyo or Active Campaign, your asset's going to be far more valuable, and that can show up on your balance sheet too. So yeah, really powerful.
Yeah, that is all great points. All great points. I won't take up too much of your time. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you for your guys' time. We'll be here for next Facebook Friday. Thank you, Troy, for coming on, and we'll